What's going on, gardeners? Grow with Nick here. So today we're going to be looking at how we can grow citrus trees in containers. You can do this anywhere from Florida up to Maine. I'm going to give you the top 6 tips to growing these citrus trees in containers. Now if you come in a little bit closer over here, we have a beautiful April day today. It's about 70 degrees in South Jersey, zone 7A, but here we're looking at some of our trees. Here we have our Owari satsuma. You can see this tag here from Mackenzie Farms. This is a very cold hardy satsuma mandarin orange variety. We move over here. We have our Meyer lemon tree, which has taken a beating just to do some reasons I will explain later. We have a yuzu lemon down here from Stan Mackenzie. Here's the tag for that. I just put it on my other lemon tree. And then this tree, even though this is not the yuzu, this is a lemon tree grown from seed that's about 3 years old. Has a nice trunk down here, you can see. But I'm gonna give you the top tips and tricks to get fruit off these lemon trees and how I can do that in zone 7A, South Jersey. So let's get into that, guys. All right, guys, so just to start off, before we get into these tips, one of the things you guys wanna do is buy cold hardy varieties if you're in the north. This Owari satsuma can get down to 12 degrees Fahrenheit if planted in ground and mature. Same as that yuzu. So these are pretty cold tolerant trees. You know, when they're in pots, they're not as cold hardy because these roots are exposed to the ambient air temperatures and not protected from being in ground. But just pick a variety that is a little more cold hardy, right? So an example is the Owari satsuma and the yuzu lemon. That's why I've chosen them to grow them here. Okay, so getting into the tips. What are the 5 to 6 tips that you need to grow perfect lemons in containers? Whether that be oranges, whether that be lemons, whether that be grapefruits. Here are the first tips. Number 1 tip is going to be pot size. If you want to grow citrus as an ornamental, you can grow them in a small pot and they'll look beautiful foliage in your home, but the smaller the pot won't allow for as much fruit production, right? So here we have this in about 2.5 gallon size pot to 3 gallon size pot, and it really hasn't fruited heavily. I've gotten a few lemons off this, but it's not that much fruit as the roots can't support all the fruit. I recommend going to a 5 gallon container like we have here. I think 5 gallons and up, you know, enables the roots to stretch out enough and grow enough to produce enough fruit. But the bigger your container size, the more fruit you're going to get. So it's up to you to decide how much fruit do you want. If you want a you know, more ornamental looking tree that's going to produce a couple fruit and you just want to leave it in your house where it looks pretty in your backyard, you can put it in a smaller pot, but you're going to get a lot more fruit production with the bigger size pots. Okay? Number 2, the second tip to growing great citrus in containers is going to be your light levels. Now, since we are growing these in containers, we can control the exact amount of light that these trees receive. So, if it's sunny over here, I can move my potted tree over here. Say the sun goes over a tree, I can move my potted tree to another area. This is what's really good about these trees, and they want as much light as they can get. And the more light correlates to higher levels of energy from the sun, which will then encourage more fruiting and actually sweeter fruits. So definitely give these as much sun as you can. So tip number 3 to growing great citrus trees in containers is going to be watering. These trees do need water and they will grow much better and put off more fruit with more water. Now, with that being said, I will caution that statement. These trees do not like to have wet feet. What that means is they do not like their roots to be sitting in water. So you're only going to water your citrus trees when you realize the first 2 inches of the soil are dry. You're going to put your fingers in down to probably your mid knuckle, and if it's dry down there, they probably need some water. If the pots are getting a little light and they're looking limp, give them some water. They're going to need that water. You know, and when you do water them really deep, right? You want to give them really deep, nice water. Okay, so the 4th tip for growing great citrus is going to be fertilizer. How are we going to give these some nutrients? You know, Stan, again, great shout out to Stan Mackenzie from Mackenzie Farms here. You know, just shipped up some really beautiful trees to me, and he gave me some good tips and tricks. But you want to fertilize these things heavy. You want to give them a nice organic fertilizer, whether it be Job's Fruit and Citrus or Ivy Organics, who's another great YouTube channel I recommend looking at. You know, his organic fertilizers really do provide these with the macro and micronutrients. You know, the more fertilizer you give them, the better. I'd recommend fertilizing into the spring and midsummer if growing these in containers. You know, but once you're starting to get ready to bring them indoors for the winter time, probably slow down the fertilizer so they're not stressed out in your house. And the final tip I would have to you guys, the 5th tip to growing great citrus would be the potting mix. You can take your typical, you know, Miracle Grow potting mix or Stargreen potting mix, whatever you want to use. I would add some vermiculite, maybe some sand, maybe some perlite to make this potting mix a little bit more quick draining so the roots don't sit in any water. Now again, some of these trees can be cold hardy to 12 to 14 degrees, just like the Owari satsuma is and the yuzu lemon. But again, because these are in pots and they're exposed to ambient air temperatures, you're going to want to bring these trees in probably anywhere if it gets below 28 degrees. Put them into a house, bring them inside to a heated shed or a garage. In the wintertime, leave them in the window with some light. They'll do fine. You bring them back out, you fertilize them heavy in the spring and into the summer. They're going to be flush with blooms and produce some great fruit. So again, I recommend going to Mackenzie Nurseries, Mackenzie Farms, I think it's Mackenzie Farms to get your citrus. And again, I'm going to have them show the label here that Stan Mackenzie puts on all his trees. This is where you guys are going to want to go. You can call that number. Stan really is, you know, a leader in citrus production growing in South Carolina. So he's doing a lot of cool things down there. Just want to thank Stan for these beautiful trees he shipped out yesterday to me. Already got them potted up and they're already looking amazing. So, you know, these are the 5 to 6 tips that you guys really need to know to grow beautiful citrus in containers. And again, you can grow this anywhere from Florida, anywhere to Maine, the Pacific Northwest, to Germany if you wanted to. So these are the tips I would use. And again, I like to get my trees from Mackenzie Farms. Also here, you don't have to worry about pests, right? We don't have any of the citrus pests that are, you know, plaguing Florida and California right now. So we can grow these pest-free as there are no native pests in colder climates, which is also an advantage. But yeah, that's how you're gonna grow these trees in pots. Hope you guys enjoyed. Any questions, again, always drop them in the comments box below. Check out Mackenzie Farms, check out Ivy Organics for the fertilizers, and that's it, guys. So thanks so much for watching. Take care.